controversial subjects with the facts can be tense, but we are Ace Up Science here to make things make sense.
All right, so we are here with a very special guest, Kyne, who is a drag queen, who is a mathematician, who is TikTok famous, has a YouTube channel. I've seen Facebook videos with millions of views of her drag makeup. She will also be on Drag Race Canada, which is coming out in July. Kyne, thank you so much for coming on the Sidenote podcast.
Hi, guys.
You look so good. You look so good.
Thank you.
How's it going? How are you feeling? I feel like you might be in a little bit of a whirlwind right now with everything that's been going on.
I am. Okay. First of all, this is my very first podcast, so I'm very excited about that. I'm a big fan of you guys. And yeah, everything has been crazy with Canada's Drag Race and the whole announcement. So yeah, as you say, it is a big whirlwind.
And I feel like, did you just hit, it was either 400K or 500K on TikTok?
Yeah, 500K.
Congrats. How does that feel?
Thank you. It is wild. I never dreamed that it would blow up like that because I started my TikTok account, like in quarantine because I was just so bored. And, I am like such a nerd that I already just do math. I do math riddles with all my friends anyway. Like that is just so my personality. But I didn't think that people were going to be into it.
Okay, I did not know that you started TikTok. So what date did you start doing TikTok?
I started it in end of April. So like
oh my gosh.
Are you serious? So like when we started watching your TikTok videos was essentially when
like
you
when
literally Okay, we've been stands since
yeah,
the beginning.
From the beginning.
First like wow. I honestly had no idea. I assumed they're so they work so well.
They're
yeah,
so well
they're
done.
polished.
Like you obviously understand the platform. Just for everyone listening and watching, for some context, if you haven't seen Kyne's videos on TikTok in particular, she has these amazing explanations of mathematical formulas, of riddles, of just different phenomenon using math to explain. So, and they're so captivating. Like for the fact that TikTok is at most a minute long, that you can fit so much information. Sometimes I'm like, how did she get that all in? Because, we're trying to experiment with TikTok now too. And I'm like, I can never get it under the minute. We're so used to this like long form content. So what made you think of that concept then? If you had not really used necessarily TikTok before, or you hadn't been creating on it, what prompted that other than boredom?
Yeah, well, I'm so new to TikTok too. Like as everyone else, I got sort of introduced to it through other people and just like seeing memes online. And I was totally in the camp of like the TikTok haters, like, oh my God, this is like a little thing for kids and this is like so cringe. But then I would see stuff that was actually kind of funny. So I was like, okay, let me download this app because like these people are like actually funny. And then, yeah, I was like, I could actually do this because I felt like my sense of humor was like pretty Gen Z. So I was like, I could probably like make it big here.
Seriously,
but that was back when I was like, maybe I should do dance videos. I don't know how I settled on math.
Wait, so let's go into that. So can you take us through your schooling, like your post-secondary? You're what we would call a mathematician? Is that?
Okay, well, I would not call myself a mathematician. I'm really just a student right now. I'm at the University of Waterloo. I'm actually in school right now as we speak. I'm finishing up my bachelor's.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I'm getting a Bachelor of Math at Waterloo.
Wow. You are
so, no wonder
so
you
young.
TikTok because you're a literal child and we could be your fathers.
So wait, oh my God. Wait, can I ask how old you are then? My voice just cracked.
Yeah. I'm 22. How old are you guys?
Whoa. No.
I'm guessing not 22.
No.
22. 32.
I'm a decade older than you, actually. To be exact. You can do the math, but yeah, that's 10 years.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, so would you be graduating this spring, or is it like?
Yeah, I will be.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in my last semester right now.
Oh my
online.
gosh, congratulations! So, what
Thank
specifically has you said your master's? What do you study?
My bachelor's. I am majoring in mathematical finance. So It's a joint program between pure mathematics and actuarial sciences. So I've got like pure math courses, like real analysis, and then some finance in there as well. Right now I'm doing a class on risk management.
So what about math, to layman's terms, so to us, what sort of aspect in your studies? Like, what is your favorite part about it? Like, what keeps you going and motivated within the world of math?
I really love proofs. I love just the rigor of math. You know, when I was in high school, I thought I wanted to like be a scientist. I thought I wanted to like go into astronomy and cosmology because I found that very seductive. But what I realized was that my physics classes were not really like scratching the itch for me because I don't like all the estimation. I don't like the messiness of it, which of course people will disagree, but I like how math is very elegant. It's very beautiful and everything makes sense and everything goes together. So I really like the rigor of mathematics. I think that's
amazing. That's such a cool answer because it's like, it's true. Like, I even think like for like us, like even within the sciences, like I compare myself a lot, like with our friends, like to artists. So I think about like, oh yeah, like I always really related in class to being like, I need to be in my science or math classes because I need a right answer. I can't deal with this like, you have a 75 on your English assignment just because like I felt like I was in a bad mood that day or whatever. But then I'm like comparing sort of my perspective of science and then you also like being into like hard math and kind of looking even at physics and being like, oh, it's a bit wishy-washy. That's awesome. Like that's such a cool way to look at the world. And I don't know, it just makes me feel really like good also to even hear you describe it as elegant and beautiful because we've been in a lot of situations with a lot of math dudes and I think they would use different adjectives. And I think you're right. It is elegant and it is beautiful.
It is. My favorite quote I've ever heard was that math is simple. Everything else in the world is complicated.
Wow. So do you subscribe to it as like the language of the universe? Like, do you think that the answers to, you know, like life itself lie in math?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think that is a completely separate question. You know, the meaning of life. I don't think mathematicians can answer that.
Wow. Okay.
And so where in the context of your sort of theory of math and self does your makeup fit in then and your drag? And is that like an artistic expression of yourself or do you see them intertwining with your love and passion for math?
I don't know. People always ask me that because it does sound like a weird mixture of hobbies and interests. Ever since I can remember, I feel like I've been pretty good at math in school and it's sort of been a natural talent of mine and something that I've, you know, cultivated. But then my interest in like art and makeup was, I feel like, really independent of that. So I feel like it's two different sides of my brain that are intertwining.
So do you ever have any overlap between them? Like, can you think of tangible times that
like TikTok?
Well, the TikTok is really my first time that it's overlapped.
Okay, are you serious? Cool. So you haven't done any of that on your YouTube channel or any other place?
No, and I'll tell you why. I've on my YouTube channel, like if you guys have watched it, it's all like strictly drag stuff. It's all like, oh, how to style a wig, how to sew a costume. And I've tried like sprinkling in little tidbits of math in there, like, by the way, use pi when you're like calculating the circumference of the skirt. And people didn't like it. People were like, oh my God, we're not smart enough for this kind. So I was like, okay, so it's not going to work. So
oh my God, we are here
I never thought it to work.
We are here as your dads in this world to change that. Like, I really think that they're like, I mean, well, you're seeing from the popularity of your TikToks, like, I think that maybe it's changing audiences on YouTube is a huge challenge. Like people, when they sign up for something, we've been doing this for 8 years. Like they really have a hard time when you change things up. But I would really encourage you to think about making math. This is like purely selfish because we are in a community of people who educate on YouTube and it's a bunch of boring dudes. Hope they're not listening. But yeah, there could be there's such a room and such an opportunity for you to now, I think, stretch what you do on TikTok out into a bunch of other places. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I would love to help you try and make a YouTube video that works, that audiences expect.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting idea and I would love to do it. But I fear that one of the reasons my TikTok works is because of the short form of it, because it's just under 60 seconds. I don't know if I could really, you know, capture people's attentions for like a 10-minute video. And actually, I've toyed with the idea of like doing those videos on my YouTube channel, but I find it always so hard to fit like, okay, what do I want to say here? Like how complicated do I want to make these explanations? But the restriction of 60-second videos on TikTok really narrows it down and makes it easy for me.
Yeah,
that
that's
makes
true.
sense. It is kind of nice sometimes to have those parameters. I think for anyone in a creative field, sometimes when you have endless possibilities, your mind is just like, how do I even construct something? But when you're told like a vine being like 6 seconds, it's like, okay, I know I got to get to the point. I know I got to have the hook at the beginning, and here's how I can break it down to hold people along. Do you think a lot about those kinds of metrics? Like, do you think you have an analytical part of your brain when you're creating content, or does that strictly come from things that you find interesting? Or are you like, hey, here's how the TikTok algorithm kind of works. I know I need to like kind of get that grab at the beginning. And like, how do you think through your process?
No, this might be surprising because I am such an analytical person, but I really am of the philosophy that people who are content creators should not think too much about that, because I think people like seeing stuff that's organic. People can tell usually if you are, clickbaiting or really trying to manipulate the algorithm. And as a person who is a consumer of content, I really don't like that in other people. So I tried not to do that in my own content.
That's
wow.
really cool.
Then you're executing it.
It really speaks to the audience resonating then, right? I think, yeah.
I can't believe you started in April. That's crazy.
Like, so in terms of that sort of meteoric rise, we shall call it, that's okay. Just a few months, 500,000 people have chosen to follow you. How has that changed your perspective?
Like, has it changed anything, or you've just been stuck at home and you don't even understand? Or like,
well, yeah, it has. What's funny is now people are, long before I did my TikTok, people would be like, oh my God, Kyne is like my drag mother. She is the queen of the drag tutorials. Now people like don't even know about my YouTube channel. They're like, Kyne is the queen of the math tutorials and she's my math teacher. So
that's amazing. Does that make you,
rebrand me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's powerful to have other people rebranding you. A lot of people pay a lot of money to rebrand themselves.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. So, okay. Take me back to your university then. Like, did you always know that you wanted to go into math for school? And when then did that intersect with, like, were you always doing makeup as well? Like, how did you choose that path? Because I think a lot of people in their lives, myself included, and I think Greg as well, like Greg has an art minor as well, have that dichotomy that to be a mathematician or someone interested in math or science or any of the things related to STEM, that you kind of have to commit to that one lane. And I think it's a really nice story to know that you are so diverse and you have multiple interests. But where did that kind of click for you that you would go to school for math, but maybe you would still pursue your interests outside of that?
Yeah. It was in high school when I made that choice, because in high school was when I started experimenting with makeup and putting that artistry on my face. And it was also high school when I decided to pursue math in university. I used to write these math contests from the University of Waterloo, and that's how I really got my love for math, is in doing those, because that's when I realized that math was so much more than what we were doing in high school. So it was in high school that I decided, okay, math is what I want to do. But I already had started my YouTube channel by then, and I guess prior to this year, I've always sort of just, I guess, put math first and then did my YouTube channel, my makeup on the side, and just wanted to see where that would take me. So it's always kind of been a hobby for me. So it is a bit of that dichotomy of, okay, what am I going to do? Because I also believe in getting an education and getting a degree, because it's something that I can at least fall back on if ever I decide not to do this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, so do you have any plans within the math world now moving forward? Like, you're graduating with your bachelor's. I'm asking you that horrible question that adults ask you when they go, so what do you do now? Even though the world is in true turmoil and it's like, do jobs exist? But are you picturing pursuing drag full time? Are you picturing pursuing being a TikToker? Like, what is your I'm vibe?
Really interested in pursuing drag for now. Because I feel like I can always go back into using my degree.
Yeah.
But right now, especially that I'm on like national TV, I want to, hit the iron while it's hot, so to speak. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but yeah, I want to do it while I'm young. I want to do it while people's eyes are on me. I want to make the most of it while I can. Okay,
awesome.
And now that I'm doing TikTok, it's great because I feel it's a bit of an application of my degree, so it's not like going to waste.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, I feel like you can do both. Like, I still just can't get over that. I honestly, really, the TikTok, the fact that math and drag coming together, it just works so well. And like, I just assumed it was something really thought out. The fact that it's so new is really exciting because I think there's a lot of potential there for sure on your YouTube channel, on TikTok. And you're right, math isn't going anywhere.
It's not a fad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then talk to me about like how you got into makeup in the first place then.
Yeah. When did
Because
you start doing drag?
Sure. I started wearing makeup in like grade 9 or 10. I honestly don't even know what inspired it. I think I started putting on a little bit concealer because I was like, I guess insecure about like my pimples. And then I just really found it like fun and artistic. I guess I wanted to be like the beauty gurus on YouTube. And then I also started watching Gigi Gorgeous. Do you guys know her?
Yeah. She was in one of her
made a video
videos
with
recently.
her.
Yeah.
Oh, sick. I love her YouTube channel. I've been following her for a very long time. And so, she kind of gave me the confidence to, go out into the world wearing makeup and expressing myself. And then I just loved makeup so much. I didn't want to just wear it like day to day anymore. I kept wanting to level up the artistry. And I think it was when I was in university and I went to my first drag show that I was like, okay, these queens are like, they're kind of doing what I'm doing, but just really elevated to the next level. And that's why I was like, okay, this is what I need to be doing.
So is there a drag scene in Kitchener? Like, is that where you were seeing these drag shows, or was it in Toronto, or where was it?
No, there is, as of now, there's a very, very small drag scene in Kitchener. It's not really in clubs. It's more in like Pride and the pageantry system.
Okay.
We don't have gay clubs right now anymore, so.
There's no gay club in Kitchener?
No. There used to be before I came of age, there were, but I never.
I know. I'm like,
What
I
was
feel
it
like
called?
Maybe
The Wren or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it that?
I never made it to that.
I love how you're like before
Oh
my
my
time.
God,
and we're
that's
like,
so funny.
we're already there.
We're the old queens who used to schluck it at the Wren. Oh my God, that's wild. So then, like, I guess I'm just like, so did you, while you were in your math degree, did you find it hard? Like, were your peers ever aware that you did this on the side? Like, how did that, was it like a Hannah Montana vibe? Like, how were you sort of
A little bit.
I just,
A little bit. I
never, yeah.
I never really told much people about it. I mean, I was never hiding it. I never wanted to be like, oh my God, they can't know my secret. But like, I wouldn't come to school in like full faces of makeup because I was like, I was just a student like everybody else, right? So like the people close to me knew, but
So did it ever intersect? Did anyone ever recognize you in your math classes from your drag? Like,
yeah, they have. Because our school also has a little drag club. So I would also perform there when I was getting started. So people knew it was not like, I was not famous, but
yeah, but it is a unique thing, I think, for a lot of people in the maths. I can only assume.
Yeah, I'm curious about your experience, and I mean, any like queer person or minority or woman in STEM faces like a lot of different obstacles, math included. I'm curious your perspective, having gone through a math degree, if that has been a significant factor in your life. Obviously, you're saying your drag was kind of separate, so maybe people weren't necessarily aware. But what was that like going through a stereotypically like white heterosexual space, which is like we kind of experienced as well going through STEM? What was that like for you?
it honestly hasn't been a big obstacle for me. So I'm very thankful. All throughout my high school and university, it's always been my grades that have been the forefront of my resume and how people see me. It was really in high school that I was like really getting good grades, and that's actually how I got a scholarship into going to Waterloo.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I saw.
Okay,
I looked online, I was like, okay, she's smart.
Just drop that in there.
I meant to bring that up at the beginning.
Yeah.
It looked like it was a full scholarship.
You
too,
are
if I'm
media
correct.
trained, honey. You are fine.
Yeah, I can't really say it's been a huge obstacle for me because I feel like if anyone were to judge me or think of me a certain way, like they really could not say much because my grades were, boosting my reputation.
Right. So you felt like at the end of the day, you were still able to prove yourself and succeed within math and STEM, no matter what. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I
and also
wonder-
the schools I went to were very progressive, so I'm lucky for that.
Yeah, that's true. I do feel like we live in like just like a Southern Ontario bubble. Like even though, yeah, Kitchener, like I think like in general, would you say it's progressive, or do you think you were at your school was actually like exceptional?
Well, I don't know. I haven't gone to other schools in the area, but I think maybe it was my schools. I don't know.
Fair, yeah.
Or
and I
even
guess,
just the individual
Kitchener
teachers.
Waterloo has a huge influence on like for people who are outside of Canada or even Ontario. It's like a very tech heavy industry there. Like Google has a head office, I don't know, a big office there, if I'm not mistaken. I like obviously BlackBerry or RIM like started there. So there's a huge influence of people that come from all over who aren't necessarily. It's not just like even though it's kind of a small city, it has a big influence in like Canadian economy and culture. Oh gosh, I lost what I was gonna say.
Yeah, is it really techie there? Like, is that your thought? Like, would you have pictured yourself in tech with your math degree?
Do I picture myself in tech? I don't know, but it is a very techie school. That's I think what Waterloo is known for. But I like it because it's very nerdy. I can really get into it.
Nice. Sorry, we're lagging a bit. That's why if we're just like staring at your face.
Yeah.
Hello?
I was gonna say, I wonder if
Yeah,
there's a
can you
bit
hear
of-
us? Are you lagging?
Just a little bit there. But I can
Okay.
see it.
Okay, great.
I think
we're caught up.
back
We're caught up.
I was
We're
gonna
caught
say, like, I think there might be even a bit like we are truly a decade older than you. Not to say that we were so overly discriminated against. Like we went to a fairly progressive city university as well, but I do think a lot has changed. Like even the other day, we got a chance to chat to. You might know him from TikTok as well. His name's like Darian Lab Shenanigans. Have you heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think like our experience on YouTube as science communicators has been constantly being surrounded by obviously like predominantly men and predominantly straight white men. Not to say that there aren't some women and stuff, but it's interesting that now, especially like with the rise of both of you have like so many followers on TikTok, we were just like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. Like we spent all this time and even just getting to chat to you and chat to him and being like, there's so many extra levels for us to connect on. And this is no shade to any of the other creators. Like we have great friendships with the other creators in this space, but I wonder if it is just partially generational. It's like young kids today don't feel as confined to the boxes that maybe we were prescribed or the decades before us were prescribed.
Yeah.
And do you think you see that at all, or do you think it's just been like out of sight, out of mind because you've grown up in that environment?
I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of both. I do feel a very great privilege for having a good high school and a good educational life that I maybe don't even see or recognize that those obstacles are there for other people, because I've always just pursued what I want to do. And the great thing about math is that it's really, you just prove yourself on the paper. So it really doesn't matter what you look like, because it's what you bring to the table and what you have in your brain.
Wow, that is powerful. So who are your favorite? Let's start with YouTubers. Like who are the YouTubers? There's Gigi Gorgeous inspired you, but what other are there? Like who
Like
else
the
do you
makeup
watch?
artist
Like
or-
or anyone? Yeah, I'm just curious.
Okay, I really like Zach Starr. Do you know him? He makes some math related videos. So I get my little nerdiness out there. Also, Numberphile makes great ones. Tom Scott. It really depends on what mood I'm in. I also really like Kat Black and ContraPoints for more
Yes,
of the
both of
social
those are
commentary
amazing.
videos.
ContraPoints is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, you're in it. Okay, cool. That's interesting. So then, none of those were makeup. Do you have any sort of like inspirations in the drag makeup YouTube community, or no? Do you spend your time on YouTube watching math videos?
Yeah, I honestly think I'm so already surrounded by drag. If I watched drag 24/7 on YouTube, I might just explode. But James Mansfield does really great YouTube videos.
Oh, nice.
She does wig tutorials, sewing tutorials. I love her.
I have a question. So, just in terms of drag culture and drag community, your drag name, Kyne,
Yeah.
is that your real name as well?
It is.
Okay, what made
And-
you? How did you choose? Like, what made you decide? And is there thoughts around that? Like, obviously, RuPaul's name is RuPaul, but what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think it came from me starting out as a YouTuber, because I started out not thinking that I was going to do drag. I was a YouTuber for longer than I was a drag queen. So my YouTube name was always just Online Kyne. And then, I started getting a little bit of a following. And when I reached the point where I was like, okay, I want to start doing drag. I want to level up my makeup tutorials, because that was the content I was doing earlier. I just couldn't think of a good name for myself. And I was like, well, if I change my name, I'm going to have to like reintroduce myself to all these people. And I like my name. I think it's a little bit androgynous and unique.
Yeah,
it
I love
is.
it,
When
honestly,
when I found out that it was your real name, I was like, that's interesting because I think Kyne is an awesome name.
Yeah, and clearly it inspired RuPaul to.
Right, exactly. Is that common, or do you think like do other drag queens that you know use their real names?
I know very few that use their boy names, but that's because they're all named Brian and Luke and.
Right. Yeah. True. That's so true. Like Kyne to me, I assumed that it was a drag stage name, and it really fits. You're right. It is sort of androgynous and not that common. It's so cool.
Has anyone shared your videos who you kind of like look up to? Like I've seen one particular person who I really love share one of your videos. Like, is there anyone sort of? Do you know who Jabuki Young White is?
No.
Oh my God. Okay. So he's like, Jabuki is like, in my opinion, like the best Twitter handle. I'll send it to you after, but he's a famous comedian. He's so funny. He's like huge.
Doesn't he write for Trevor Noah?
Yeah. No, he works on
The Daily Show.
The Daily Show. He's a correspondent. He writes Big Mouth. He's a big deal in the comedy community, but he shared one of your videos on Instagram. So for me, I was like, oh my God, it's Kyne. But I'll send it to you after. But has there been any moments of intersection with people who you look up to now that you're doing
Yes.
this?
Okay. From Drag Race, Katya followed me, and also Aquaria.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was chatting with them in the DMs. I felt like such a celebrity. I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God. So are they
That's
chatting?
wild.
Are they chatting with you through because they know you now from
DMs?
TikTok, or is it Instagram, or what is it?
Instagram and Twitter. They've just seen my videos floating around. So like,
That's so
Wow,
nice.
that's big. Okay, I see.
Oh my gosh. So was that like a heart moment where you were just like, oh my God, what's
yeah,
happening?
it
Like,
was.
did they just DM you, or they started following you and then they just like shot
Yeah,
a
they
message?
started following me.
That's
Well, I had to
crazy.
DM them first and be like, thank you for the follow.
Oh, fair. Yeah, but
My boyfriend was like, Kyne, you have to play it cool. You're all Drag Race girls. But I couldn't resist myself.
No, oh my God, are you kidding? You gotta reach out. That's what you have to do. Okay, that's interesting because I really like. I mean, we've seen some of those like response videos where they're like, or some. I think you sent it to me, like someone being like, I'm at that point of TikTok where like I'm getting taught math by a drag queen. Like, I think there's something so powerful to that. Like that dichotomy of the math and the drag queen, I think is a really big like superpower for you moving forward. Cause it is that like that's you now. Like when people say that, they know who they're talking about. Like Katya, these people, they might have like, you know, come across you on a variety of platforms, but you now are that I just think that that's like something we've experienced. Like even just like being queer in science, like then all of a sudden you become like the queer science guys. Like there is power to that because it's different and it's interesting. And like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, here I am being like, okay, I'm going to be your manager. We're going to go on TikTok. We're going to blow you up there.
Now that you have done all this math stuff, and I don't want to take away at all from your drag, but I'm like, do you think that you will focus, like, do you see yourself as sort of a science or math communicator now? And is that a role you want to continue to fulfill? Like that's something that sort of happened to us. We were just interested in science. We made science videos, and then suddenly we're part of this sort of like science communicator. Not society, but like society. So do you see yourself as that? And is that a role or a job you ever wanted? And do you want it now that you kind of have it?
I don't know. That's really interesting because I've always, you know, I came at this from a drag perspective. Like here's me as a drag queen, like talking about, you know, what I want to talk about. And I love doing drag. I love to perform and I love to be on stage because, you know, it just like is such a fantasy for me. But I do feel that like math is really one of my big talents, and I am really good at making those videos and explaining things in a good way. Do I want to, you know, only do that? I don't know, because I feel like I want to do that and also perform and dance because I like doing that too. But I do recognize that like math is like, I feel I'm more contributing to the world in a better way when I'm helping people get better at math. When people tell me that they, you know, are doing better in their math classes because of me, or when they tell me that they're inspired to pursue a math degree, I feel just enriched and inspired in a different way than I am by drag. But I don't know. I can't tell you if I want to choose one over the other.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
no,
so
you definitely
interesting.
don't need to choose one over the other. I think that I'm sure there are many, many people who have and will see you in drag that you will also impact them like emotionally and potentially change their lives as well. I just think for sure you should like Greg said, I think this is your superpower to combine drag. And even thinking of math as sort of that stereotypical subject that people either find really hard or that they're just too dumb in it or it's boring to them. And I think this perspective on math is just so refreshing. I think that's why at least I connect to it in some ways, because it is like to see something that you didn't find engaging suddenly engaging is like a really magical moment. Like, and I'm sure most people find that in certain things in their life. So you would have found that for drag as well. But that moment when you go, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I do think that is what the power of like a math communicator can do. Someone who goes, I know there are people out there who might think this is hard or boring, but I'm going to show you that it can be interesting. And using your whole arsenal of like your beauty and your drag and your creativity and your art is like a really awesome way to do that.
Thank you. Oh
Also-
my God, I'm blushing. You guys are
Yeah. Also, you've been really like proactive in using math to, you know, sort of combat institutional racism, white supremacy on TikTok. That's been really powerful to watch. Like, we definitely have made that decision in our career that we're like, science can be biased. We need to fight these biases. Like, was there any hesitation to that? Like, was that something that you saw and immediately thought, here we go, like, let's topple the white supremacy on TikTok?
Yeah,
or
because I've actually,
how did that work for you?
I've done videos before, you know, debunking false graphs, just from a statistical standpoint, just because that's what you learn when you go to school. And when I would see people using graphs like that to, you know, be racist, it felt like a perfect thing to fit into my channel. And, you know, like, let alone the fact that it's our like moral responsibility to do something, like, it's just something, it's content that perfectly fits into what I'm doing anyway. So it was a great match.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because that was also really powerful, because that is like, obviously a lot of white supremacy is based in these like facts, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have the power or even have the moral compass to do that. So I don't know. I applaud that. And I think moving forward, like, seeing those videos is really powerful. So like,
And I think some people get this false idea that science and math are fixed and that there aren't perspectives on them, and like you said, like that people can read a statistic or read a science fact and then suddenly that is the truth.
That's like how racism is like,
and that's
really,
why people believe that science can't be biased. It can't be political, but it's like there's so much more nuance to these things. What's your take? Yeah, like do you want to use, I mean, obviously you're using your drag for social good, because I think that's an amazing way to connect with people. And do you feel like you can and want to use your math for social good as well? Or is that something that you're still just...
Oh, definitely. One of the things I learned early on in my degree, I went to this one math camp. I know. But the guy, the guy heading it was telling us this anecdote about math and how people use it in like insurance companies to deny claims to people. And, you know, the punchline of what he was saying was that, like, as people who are good at math and are going to pursue this and become actuaries and people in decision-making roles, we have to use math for good, for social good, and we have to make sure it's not used for bad reasons.
That's like, that like kind of gave me shivers, because I really think that that's so important. And we have been feeling like that, especially now, right now, with everything going on. It's like you realize that science has contributed so negatively to racism, to the world. And there's a lot of our peers who just say, like, if you teach people science, that's innately good. Or like, you know, science isn't political. We hear that all the time. And it's really, really frustrating, because we're like, the more you actually learn about science, you realize it's so political. It informs political decisions, like you're just saying. Math is used by powerful people to justify politics. Yeah. And if you go back through the history of it, it could have been used so damagingly. And I think I don't know enough about math that I almost think I put those assumptions on it. I was like, oh, well, math is, you know, the truth. So there's no such thing or good or bad with it. So that's powerful. And like, hang on to that. And like, maybe even like explain that in TikToks, because I think that's like maybe something you think of as so normal that you understand from math camp. But me hearing that, I'm like, okay, that's in line with what I think. Like, we need to tell people that, because a lot of people who don't understand math and science just think it's the quest for the truth, and the truth is the truth, when really, like, we as humans shape it.
Yes, definitely. And math is a great big, you know, tree of different branches. And there are some things that are really just, I would probably say, are apolitical, like algebra and geometry. But when it comes to statistics, the way statistics is so ingrained into demography and studies of the human population, that is very political. That is very social.
Even
totally.
even like a pandemic, epidemiology, like using numbers to understand what's going on and how we can make the best decisions around it. We won't keep you too much longer. I want to ask a little bit about we have a handful of listeners who are creators as well, and probably lots of them are like, how do you do this on TikTok? I mean, we're so old, so we can't really give advice on how to make TikToks well, but what do you find, like, what would you say to somebody who's listening, who's like, I'm so inspired, I want to sort of be my authentic self and do that on the internet, but I don't really know where to start? Or what
make
to
a
do.
TikTok or anything?
Yeah, let's start with TikTok, but you might have a philosophy around creating content, and there's lots of people who probably look to you and say, oh my gosh, how did she do that? I want to be able to do that as well.
Yeah. I would probably say that you have to find a balance between doing what you love and doing it in a way that is entertaining for other people to watch. I think too many people shift to one extreme or the other. You can do what you really like, but if nobody gets it and nobody is like entertained by it, then there's not going to be that many people who watch it. And on the other hand, if you are doing stuff that is just so like sellout of you, which I don't really like saying that, but you know what I mean? Like people are going to see right through that. People think that because TikTok is like lots of kids that you just have to grab the kids' attention, but there's lots of people on TikTok who are, smarter than that and are going to see through you if you're being inauthentic. So you have to strike that balance.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And that's so true. I think that's the interesting thing with TikTok. It's all happened so fast. People really thought, oh, it's nothing, but then now when you watch it, like, it's hilarious. We're now learning math from a drag queen. Like, it's really having this like reckoning, I think, for a lot of people in the cultural zeitgeist. And you're right. I think that's because like what is shining through a lot of the time is more authentic than we realize. Of course, there's like the mainstream version of TikTok, which sometimes can be like V cringe, but there's so much like in it that is actually like really, really powerful.
Yeah,
so
and people think that when you start a TikTok channel, you have to like do what other people are doing and do the trends and do those things. But I started doing something that nobody was doing, and it popped off. So if you see it, if you have an idea of something that you want to see out there and nobody is doing it, then just give it a try.
Have you been looking at this pandemic with a sort of mathematical, epidemiological lens at all? Or are you sort of tapped into what's going on, like with the science and the math? Or are you sort of just like living it in quarantine? Like, do you have an interesting perspective or no? You don't have to. I'm just curious.
I in the beginning I did. I was like, ooh, exponential functions. But then now I really can't be bothered to like read the news about it every day, because I also recognize that the things that I've learned in school in just my undergraduate degree are just so surface level, top of the iceberg things, when really there is so much data that goes into it that is just beyond my understanding. So I trust the experts.
Wow.
Well,
smart enough to trust the
advice.
experts. There you go.
It's like, make your content, be authentic, be creative, but at the end of the day, trust the experts.
Yes.
As well.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, so like we didn't ask you anything about Drag Race Canada because we know it isn't out yet. Gotta keep a tight lip. But is there like anything that you're allowed to say that you're excited about, or like the experience, or
Sure. Well, I'm allowed to say that it is going to premiere on July 2nd on Crave.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I'm really excited. I think people, I wanted to do it because I wanted to show people like just a different side of me, because you see a particular side of me on YouTube, because obviously at the time I hadn't started my TikTok channel yet. But I wanted to show people, my full repertoire of talent. So I guess that was my mindset going into it.
Yeah, and Drag Race Canada is definitely probably happity hap that this TikTok channel's blowing up with one of their queens. Do you know if people can watch it in other parts of the world? Because a lot of our listeners aren't necessarily in Canada. Is it?
Yeah.
Do you know that information?
Yeah, sure. In Canada, it's premiering on Crave. In the US and in some other select territories, it will be available on Wow Presents Plus. It was just announced recently, actually, that it's going to be on BBC in the UK.
Whoa!
Yeah, that is
the British people. Oh, we love Kyne. We love Kyne and all their maths. Oh my God, you have to call it maths for them. Did you know that?
I do. Yeah, that actually makes more sense to me, because actually, math is an abbreviation or a shortened version of mathematics. with an S.
There
So,
you go. Honestly,
that's your reasoning.
English people, I guess, should know how English works. But I actually taught in the UK and I spelt tire Tire. And the kids were so awful. They were like, it's spelled with a Y. And I was like, stop yelling at me. You're all like taking the mic. And then it turns out, nope, they spell tire with a Y. And they say maths. Yeah. It was so nice
We're
talking
so
to
excited
you.
to watch you on Drag Race
Yes.
and continue to explode on TikTok and YouTube
you.
and Instagram. Where can people find you? What's your handle on all the different platforms?
It's online Kyne everywhere on TikTok.
Okay.
Instagram,
You're
Twitter.
like, you got that stuff early.
Online Kyne. Okay,
True
great.
social media mogul. And
Yes.
well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on our podcast. We're so lucky to have you, and we wish you the best of luck. We'll be rooting for you on Drag Race.
And we'll also be
Thank
messaging
you.
you to like do some sort of like collabs or something. This
Yes.
math on YouTube thing, I definitely want to help you with.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. You guys are so nice.